How you doing, folks? Welcome to another episode of Get Chatting. This week I'm going to be talking about something that's very, very hard for me to talk about, but I know that I need to because it's such a big issue in society and something that's affected me and my family as well. And that issue is suicide. The reason it's such a hard subject for me to talk about is because, like I said last week, if you tuned in, every day I struggle with suicidal thoughts, and September last year, 2020, I tried to take my own life. So I want to open up a wee bit on that. I want to be able to talk about it so that people can relate to me, know that they're not on their own, and know that they can speak about it. It's nothing they should be ashamed of. But I'll start by saying to everybody who watched the video last week, thank you so much. I had very positive comments from it. So please keep up to date, and if you've got any problems, any comments, suggestions, messages, please get in touch with me. Get Chatting on Twitter, and also drop a comment in the box below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, so let's just start from the very top really. I'll work my way backwards from the day that I tried to take my own life, and then we'll work backwards and try and establish what the cause was of that. So like I say, it was September 2020, and I'd been battling my depression and anxiety on a serious level for July 2020, and every day things seemed to get more severe. The thought of ending my life became more and more of an appealing prospect to me, and it all came to a head when I went to my work one day knowing that I had no intention of coming home again. I woke up that morning, I kissed Dion, my fiance, and I kissed my daughter Riley, and I knew that was goodbye. I went out the door, like I say, fully focused and comfortable with the idea that I wasn't coming home. Went to my work, went on site. I was a roofer at the time, and when things got too much, I decided to leave. I drove away from site in my car, and the next bit is a wee bit of a blur, to be honest. All I know is I was ready to go. I didn't feel any ill feeling about it. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel, it was the first time that I'd probably felt relief in such a long time. And to know that that's a comfortable idea in your head, and knowing that you're leaving your, what was she doing at the time, 3-4 month old daughter and your fiance, knowing that they were going to grow up and live their life without me, to be comfortable with that is a horrible feeling, you know. It's not something that I'd wish on my worst enemy, to be honest. But that particular day things just got to me, and it had been a build up. So like I say, I got in my car and I drove, and I just kept driving thinking, I need to go. I pulled up in a lay-by on a back road, knowing that there was plenty of HGVs, Arctic lorries, things like that passing. So I sat there and I wrote out a suicide note on the back of a petrol receipt. It basically said, I'm sorry, he's deserved better. And I wrote it to Dion, I wrote it to Eiley, I wrote it to my mum. And yeah, basically said, I'm sorry, but I can't go on. The battle's becoming too much, and I can't keep fighting it. I've not got the energy to fight it anymore. I signed it, I dated it, and basically burst into tears, waiting until I seen a lorry coming in the distance, and I knew that the next lorry that came in the corner was going to be the thing that took my life. I was ready to throw myself under it. As it was, I was very, very fortunate, and I was very, very lucky, and I'm still grateful to this day. I don't know if I believe in fate, I don't know if I believe in anything like that, but that day, to go through that situation and to be in the position that I was in, I was very fortunate that one of my colleagues just happened to be on that road heading to the site and seen my car, phoned ahead, and realised that I wasn't on site anymore. He turned back and he got me out of the car and brought me home. Told Dion what the script was, and by this point I was broken. I was the lowest I'd ever been. And this, it might sound weird, but when I was so set and so definite that what was going to happen in terms of ending my life was going to happen, it was such a body blow to realise that somebody had taken me away for that. And there was a sense of resentment about that. Looking back, it's a shocking thing to say, but there was a sense of resentment because I was so focused, so driven to that was going to happen. That was my release. That was the end of everything, you know. But like I say, looking back now, I'm so fortunate that I was found, and I can only, he knows who he is. I'm not going to mention his name, but every morning I wake up, I think about him because he did save my life, you know. Like I say, I wrote a note on the back of the seat and just cried. And thinking back, knowing what I was going to do and knowing how many people's lives I was going to wreck, it's gut-wrenching. It really is. Like I've mentioned, my daughter Hailey, my fiance Dion, my mum. I'm an only child. You know, my mum, I've got a half brother on my dad's side, him, my dad, my whole family, my friends, everybody. I was ready to jack it really, and let everybody else pick up the pieces for my mess. Looking back, knowing that I was going to put myself in front of a lorry, brings me a wee sense of guilt as well. I've got an uncle who's a lorry driver, and I've got loads of pals who are lorry drivers, and thinking what they'd go through. You know, I could have ruined someone's life that was driving a lorry that day that was only doing a job. I'm sorry if I'm a wee bit emotional or a wee bit slow. It's tough to talk about, you know. Once you realise what you could lose, and once you're comfortable again with the idea of living, it's tough to think where you have been. I like to think that the days are by me, but I know they're not. Like I said, I deal with these kind of thoughts every day. I'm not saying that every day I wake up I want to end my life, but there's always a wee niggle in the back of my head that thinks maybe it would be a better idea. And it's because of this is why I want to push the message. I get chatting. It's so easy to talk to people these days. You know, there's still a massive stigma attached to mental health, to suicide, but it's easier to talk to someone than it is to have the rest of your family, the rest of your friends pick up the pieces for you for the rest of your life. You know, we hear so many times, especially during this lockdown, that people are taking their own lives, youngsters especially. Like a name that comes straight to mind is Ryan Blair, a young footballer that took his life recently. It shouldn't get to that stage, you know. I want to encourage people to open up. I want to encourage people that if they're struggling, message me. It doesn't matter who you message, just message someone and make sure that the people listen. You know, force people to listen. Force a bit of action. I will say as well, I'm so grateful to everyone who's helped me, who's been there for me, who's sent me messages, who's got in touch after everything that's happened, after I shared my story for the first time. I really can't thank everybody enough for just messaging, and I also got a lot of people messaging to say thanks very much for raising this point. We've been fair to speak out for so long, which has given me an immense sense of satisfaction. But there's one person that I want to thank in particular, and that person is Libby Emerson, who runs the charity Back On Side, who got in touch with me and organised counselling for me after my appearance on STV. You know, I'm wearing hoodies are available from the charity if you want to support them. They've got a nice wee Etsy page. Follow them on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. I really can't thank Libby and everyone at Back On Side enough. Today is their 3rd anniversary. They've got a GoFundMe page if you want to get involved in that. I'll share a link on Twitter to that. But please, if you can afford to, go and give them a wee help, even a couple of quid, just something, because the work that they're doing, and I've experienced it firsthand, really is, it's saving lives. And there's people that are still here today that wouldn't be if it wasn't for Libby and the team Back On Side. So that's just a wee mention. But back to my sort of story. Like I say, I deal with suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies every day. I hear so much about people, mostly an older generation, that say it's a coward's way out. And that's fine if that's what you believe, fine. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, it's what you believe. But what I will say is, from personal experience, when you're in that frame of mind that nothing matters, nothing can get you out of it, you're in that hole and you can't climb out of it. When you get to that point that it would be easier to take your own life and let everybody else deal with it, it's a scary place to be. I can see why a lot of people do it, because I myself was going to be one of them. And I do feel very lucky that I'm here to be able to speak to people today and encourage them to open up and not to feel embarrassed about how they're feeling, because it's the feelings that are going to tip people over the edge, especially in the current climate with lockdown restrictions and whatnot, and not being able to see family, not being able to see friends. We're living in a very trying time right now. So I can't say it enough. If anybody is struggling, they've no one to turn to, give me a shout if you need to, just to buy yourself some time until people start listening to you. Force people to listen. It really is. The relief you get from someone listening, I found helps. Obviously, I feel talking about my experiences helped me. It's a sort of therapy for me. So if you feel that it might be able to help you, please just make somebody listen, someone you trust, whoever. Just make sure they listen to your situation. As I said last week, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just a normal guy. It's a wee bit different because he's mental illness. I'm doing this purely for self-therapy, and hopefully it can relate to a few other people that are watching. I don't do this with scripts, I don't do it with notes. I'm just sitting here talking to my phone, and in the hope that people out there can relate to me. We're very lucky nowadays that we're in a society that there is so many different charities now. Like I mentioned, Back On Side, get in touch with them. There's obviously the Samaritans, the Chris Boyd charity is one that springs to mind as well. There's so many nowadays that are trying to normalise mental health, and that can only be a good thing. But it doesn't matter how many people are out there, when you're in that state that you just want to end your life, it's very, very hard to get out of. it's very, very hard to get out of. I might sound like I'm stalling a wee bit because I am. It's hard for me to talk about what happened. But look, I was in a place that I never want to get to again. But I wake up every morning worried that I will. I'm determined to keep myself focused and driven and get myself back to living as normally as possible. But every morning I wake up thinking, what if I can't get back to that? And like I said, nothing matters when you're in that state of mind. I look at my daughter and I look at Dion and I think, how could I? But it's so easy to get to that state. If you don't seek the help and you don't get the help, it's so easy to get to that stage. Sorry. I got to that stage because I'd bottled everything up for so long, and I hadn't done what I'm trying to promote right now. I hadn't spoke to anyone. I'd had everything, put a face in it. I'd masked it for so long that eventually it took its toll, and got to the stage that I didn't want to be here anymore. I was fighting battles in my own head and losing every one of them. I was experiencing two sides to my personality, knowing that it wasn't the right thing to do, but also feeling that it was the only thing to do. It was the only way that I was going to get a sense of release and get myself out of the hole that I'd pretty much dug for myself, to be honest. I had lied to a lot of people about how I was. Lied to my family, lied to my friends, lied to my boss, lied to my work colleagues, everything. No one knew how bad I was. I didn't know how bad I was, because I never for 1 second believed that I'd be in that situation. I'd heard about so many people that had taken their own life, that had ended their life, and I always thought, nah, that's not me, that isn't me. And I said it last week, no, from the outside looking in, I've got no reason to feel, I've got no reason to, or for other people to think Chalmers shouldn't be feeling that. I keep saying that, but done my whole life, I've got my family, I've got my mum, I've got Dion, I've got Eiley, I've got my brother, my dad, everyone like that. My friends, so I've got some of the best pals ever. They know who they are. I really couldn't ask for better pals. But it's thinking now, it's scary. It scared me. But like, I had all that. I had a good job, good house, good people around me. I was happy, There wasn't anything that was saying from me I was needing help. There was no signs, there was no triggers, there was nothing that folk would maybe go, there's something, maybe just check on Chalmers, see how he is, because I was happy-go-lucky, just the way I'd always been. I look at my dad served in the Marines. I've got pals that have lost parents, that have lost siblings, that have lost even sons and daughters. None of this has ever happened to me. I've had a very good life, had a very good upbringing. I've got a very good life right now. And when you know that nothing matters anymore, and you're fighting these two different conflicting thoughts, that on one side you're like, my life's so good, and on the other side it's like, nah, it's time to go. Let's just pull the plug and deal with it. It's horrid. You know, it's hard right now as well. I keep saying about lockdown restrictions, that doesn't help anybody. Everybody is suffering. Everybody is suffering in some way, shape or form. Don't care who you are, I don't care how strong you are, what you're saying on social media, nothing. Every single person has been affected by this. It's the first time that everybody has been in the same boat. Everybody is affected, and if no one speaks out about how they are affected, we're going to have another pandemic, and that is going to be, suicide rates are going to go through the roof. They're already too high right now. We can't have another pandemic like that. And even if it just starts with, I'm struggling, I need a wee bit of help, I need somebody to talk to, that's a start. Try and get on the right path, you know. We keep hearing how there's services out there for mental health, and we are lucky that there is people out there now genuinely try to help us. It's not just a throwaway comment anymore. Please, 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 I'm begging you all, seek help if you need it. Make people listen. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I don't want another single person in this world to feel the way I felt. Too many lives are being ruined right now. Please don't let your families or your friends be another. Please don't become a statistic. I'm actually begging you now. If you're at any stage like that, please get in touch with me. Please get in touch with someone. Just open up and say, like I say, I'm struggling. I need help. I need someone. And there will be someone there for you. I know how it feels. I know it feels you're on your own. I know it feels like that. Because I felt like that. I felt nobody was there. And looking back, I had thousands of people around about me. But I was hiding it from myself. Please break that mould and say, I need help. And once you get that sort of initial embarrassment, pain, whatever it may be, off your shoulders, it makes things a whole hell of a lot easier. It really does. I'm going to wrap up now because I've been rambling for 23 minutes and 13 seconds now. And I don't want to bore anyone anymore, but please, I'm going to say it at the end of every video, get chatting Scotland. Get chatting. I apologise for my stuttering in this video. It's been a tough video to talk about. There's so much more ground that I can cover, so I'll be doing this every weekend. Like I say, drop me a comment, drop me a message if you're struggling, please. Right? I thank everyone for their support. I thank everyone for their messages and comments. Stay strong out there, and like I say again, get chatting Scotland. Cheers.